Chapter 11 covers clean and unclean animals. The general rule given for which animals are clean, which animals are unclean, is that clean animals have a parted hoof and cloven feet, and they chew cud. But animals that only do one of those things are not clean. For example, pigs, camels, and hares. Any fish that has scales is clean, but any creature of the sea without fins and scales is unclean. So something like an eel. Several birds are listed as unclean, although the Hebrew words for these various birds, we're not entirely sure what species they actually refer to. But generally speaking, it appears to be that most, if not all, birds of prey are considered unclean. Most winged insects are said to be unclean, with the exception of locusts and grasshoppers. It's important to note that with the food laws, as well as many of the other laws that are culturally distinctive to Israel, their purpose was to keep the people of Israel set apart from the other nations, or the Gentiles. And one of the ways in which this was done was keeping it so that they didn't eat the same type of food as the Gentiles. An example of where we can see this dynamic about how the food laws actually govern the relationship between Israelites and foreign nations can be seen in the book of Daniel. We'll cover that dynamic more directly when we get to the book of Daniel. One more thing I want to say about the basic concept of clean versus unclean, because this theme is going to continue to pop up throughout the rest of Leviticus, is that there is a difference between somebody being ceremonially unclean and somebody being guilty of sin. Israelites regularly became ceremonially unclean for doing things that were not sinful. This is because tons of necessary actions, such as touching a dead body of somebody who needed to be buried, results in becoming ceremonially unclean. And then there's a prescription as to how to cleanse oneself and the time period in which one remains unclean after something happens. The point is, just because somebody does something to become unclean, and that prevents them from doing certain things in relation to the sanctuary, that does not mean that what they did is actually sinful or bad. In many cases, it's actually the thing they were supposed to do.